are we live? Oh my goodness. Are we live? Hello, my baby gorillas. Apologise for tonight. Oh, one thing after another. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I should have been ready earlier. So John said, John, it's the Dunbar hustings. The night, Davey, you're going to go on Zoom. So Dunbar hustings. $7:30, so it's on about 45 minutes apparently. So I'm not quite sure where it is. John, can you send me a link? Can't find the meeting, can you? Wait. Can't even find the meeting. Hi there, Marion. How you doing? Hi, Bernadette. Hi, David. Good to see you. Begin the tonight's chat. Right. So, what was I going to take it on? Bump. I was going to take it on. Why is this all still up? I was going to talk tonight about political parties. Now, there's a plethora of parties now standing in Scotland. So I'm just going to give an overview, and then I'm going to go into each of them through their manifesto. Not tonight, I'll do that each individually. And I'm going to cover various aspects of who's actually standing and where they're standing, and I'll do that partly through the manifesto period and partly through just tonight and what we're doing tonight. So, where is it? Don't forget to share it, guys, on your social media, because they're trying to block us. So the more this is shared, the better. I don't usually ask to get this shared, but they're definitely they're definitely at it. The numbers are well down, and they're definitely trying to suppress the content. So that's without a shadow of doubt a given. So if you can put it on your Twitter, put it on Facebook, any sort of social media, put it on, and let's try and get the numbers up. Get some eyes on this. So, John, I don't know where the Dunbar hustings is. Dunbar, that'd be quite interesting. Dunbar. I don't know, John. You need to send me a link. Yes, Dunbar hustings. I don't know where it is, John. Yeah, don't know. You need to send me a link, John. If you got a link, send me a link. Okay, let me crack on here. Family party, and this is did it? Family party. There's some great videos on the family party. This guy is very clever. And I do agree with parts of certainly parts of what he says. I'll come back to the family party. So this is the one I was wanting to go through. So I think there's more than 23 people or parties standing.
There could be up to 21 parties on the regional list ballot paper in next year's Scottish election. That's a lot of parties to consider, so I'm here to help you with my 2021 Scottish election party guide. Now, you're probably thinking he's going to be really biased, but I can assure you that is absolutely not the case. What I'm going to offer here is a neutral, unbiased, objective guide to enable you to weigh up the options and to decide for yourself to vote for the Scottish Family Party.
So Richard Lucas is actually not a bad politician. Difficulty is we have got 21 political parties, and really, although some of them are almost pressure groups, unless they start amalgamating into a smaller number of larger parties, then and some of them are doing the same thing. So there has to be compromise, egos overturned, and an amalgamation of smaller parties who are similar. And the left have got the same problem as well. This is all fractured personality politics rather than what the underlying issues are and how it's going to affect Scotland. So there has to be alliances sought and building of partnerships.
So, off we go then. Scottish Socialist Party, what do they offer? They offer...
Now, don't forget, Tommy Sheridan was in the Scottish Socialist Party. Now Tommy Sheridan's in the Alba Party. And the Scottish Socialist Party, I think, and this is off the top of my head, I don't know this for a fact because I haven't got into the manifesto yet, believes in Scottish independence as well. So these are an independent socialist party, not a unionist socialist party. And then obviously the personality problem with people, some wanting to go to Solidarity, which was Tommy Sheridan's party. And now he has politically cleverly gone with Alex Salmond, but Alex Salmond is a lefty as well. He walked out of the Scottish the Scottish National Party, and then ushered in the SJW nonsense that Nicola Sturgeon has brought in, and so Salmond is a gimp as well. The only difference between him and a gimp like Sawa, a globalist Islamo-Marxist party, is that his gimping is bringing in extreme left-wing, badly thought-out policies. And so Sheridan, rightly so, has seen a greater chance to influence in the Alba party, which is politically correct in that. And I don't know what's happened to the Solidarity Party. Maybe it's like it's starting to get like the People's Front of Judea and the Judeans People's Front. But it just shows you that personality splits and conflicts can split movements, even though on a policy basis they actually agree. But that splitting can also affect other things, such as the Alba Party splitting off from the SNP, and obviously Tommy Sheridan splitting from the Scottish Socialist Party.
A proper Venezuela economic disaster style socialism. Look at their website. The bogeyman for them is billionaires and bosses.
So we should be celebrating people becoming billionaires like Sir Tom Farmer. We should be celebrating them. They've actually done a great job. But but unfortunately, this is the politics of envy. Rather than trying to focus and develop your own company, what they want to do is hold everybody back. So, and then we all get poorer because of it. We get richer because of people like Sir Tom Hunter. And unfortunately, they don't really have these ideas.
Other people to blame for pretty well everything. I mean, almost some of it sounds like stirring up hatred against these people.
Yeah, it's not hatred when they do it, of course.
The best line I found on their website was this: they oppose illegal and unjust wars from Tony Blair to Donald Trump. Which is a bit ironic, since Donald Trump's about the only president of the United States for an awful long time who didn't start any wars. But anyway,
I mean, that's quite, and also lambasting, just lying and being deceitful about what people do and what people are. It's just obviously they have no moral compass on what by saying lies. And we should put people in jail for lying. Lying can destroy people's lives. So if you're actually lying, your parents always told you not to lie, but if you're actually lying, you should go to jail.
That's the Scottish Socialist Party.
If you lied and destroyed somebody's life and then they committed suicide and then the mother of the child committed suicide, you've just destroyed a whole series of lives by one lie. And why are you not being held accountable for the destructiveness of your personality in society? You should be going to jail for lying.
Which split a while ago into the Scottish Socialist Party and a party called Solidarity.
There you go. So this is Tommy Sheridan's mob. So obviously the going to the swingers parties and things like that and getting your tackle out. I personally should have joined a Libertarian party because nobody would have bothered in that. Because nobody bothers about a person's sexuality, but obviously he had to cover himself up, and it was the lying. I think that when I spoke to Colin Fox, but I like Colin Fox and I like Tommy Sheridan on a personal basis. Politically, the left generally in Scotland have held back Scotland.
Which is similar, very hard left party, the party of Tommy Sheridan.
Now, I believe the policies are similar. This is a personality problem, and now Tommy Sheridan's jumped ship and joined the Alba Party. Obviously he's a socialist. I would say Alex Salmond's more a social democrat, but I mean obviously left-wing bedfellows, but obviously, and Colin and probably Tommy Sheridan got on quite well at some point as well.
Now I'm using the word party very loosely because I can't actually see any evidence that it does actually exist as a political party.
So obviously now the Solidarity and the hard left are now in the Alba Party as well.
And Tommy Sheridan's message seems to be to vote for another party next year. So I'm not sure if they're going to have candidates.
Well, in that other party will be the Alba Party.
For the
not Colin Fox's Scottish Socialist Party.
Solidarity Party still exists. Right, staying on the hard left, we then come to the Greens. Now, to be honest,
so this is like the village. This is the Village Idiots Party. This is like all the village idiots from all over Scotland have got together and decided to vote for the biggest village idiots, and that's how you get the Green Party, the members of the Green. What party is the most anti-globalist? That's a very good question. Can I come back to that later? Can you just remind me that question? I'll answer that later on, because that's a very good question.
The Greens have got the extreme left wing sewn up.
Hold on. Just got a political leaflet through the door, eh? That's timing for you guys, isn't it?
It tends to be in Britain. When people think of the political spectrum, it goes from the far right or the hard right.
I mean, both Solidarity, Scottish Socialist Party and the Greens are all on the hard left. Now, there's different types of socialism. These are all subsets of socialism, but I think the Greens are almost like a Marxist party. There really are some batshit crazy people in there.
Now, at the other end, you never hear people talking about the hard left or the far left.
The loony left, that's what it's called.
because it's got a different name.
Please.
They're called the Greens instead. Now, you'll be familiar with the Green Party in Scotland, but if they were in government, bye-bye an awful lot of our freedoms. If they were in power for 10 years, I think I'd be in prison by the end of that. And that's not just a dramatic thing to say. I genuinely think that's what would happen.
And I don't disagree.
Green Party's leader, Patrick Harvey, I've spoken to him on several occasions in a friendly manner when I've done debates or whatever.
So wee Moby's quite friendly, I have to say. I like Moby on a personal level again. I like all the socialist guys on a personal level. This is not me disliking them as individuals. I don't. I mean, it's just their politics are not progressive, regressive.
With him, I'm yet to have a single word in reply, but maybe one day he will deign to speak to me. Anyways, that's the Greens. You're familiar with them. Scottish Labour Party. What are they like? Well, you know what the Labour Party's like. In Scotland, I feel...
a Gimp party. And we have simps for the Gimps in the press. Simps for the Gimps. Like Paul Hutchin and what do you call him? Peter Adam Smith. Two simps for the Gimps. So we've got a globalist Islamo-Marxist party now that's now falling down the polls. It's going to be lucky if it gets double figures. Well, it'll probably get slightly higher than that. Just maybe mid to late teens. It's totally collapsed. It's going to be Anna Sawa, Paul Hutchins and Peter Adam Smith in a phone box for the next conference in Scotland for the Labour Party.
Just a little bit weak, a little bit dull. Richard Leonard, I remember watching him once.
All of these parties have held back Scotland for a long period of time, including the SNP, or a left-wing party. It's the left that have destroyed Scotland.
First Minister's question time. Other times, well, he asks questions like, 93-year-old Agnes Mackay in my constituency, she's been waiting 7 months for such and such an operation. What have you got to say to that? Nicola Sturgeon replies, well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm very concerned for Agnes and I encourage her to get in touch with me, but the waiting times are this, that and the other. You listen to him and think, well, in a sense, it's good you're concerned for these people. That's a good thing for an MP.
They're not concerned. They're incompetent. They're not competent. Let's go. What did I have last night? Ooh. What? There you are there. There's the man there again. Oh, hello. Happy. Okay, so sorry about this, guys. I'm just getting our that in here, like so. Glasgow Southside. Woohoo! How exciting is that? So this first part is the constituency vote. So this is who you've got just now. So you all know I know more than your average Joe on politics. Not on everything, but on politics I know quite a lot of things. And there's certain things I don't know because they're not actually spoken about. And I'm going to try and probably get not everything correct here because I don't know. So, okay, so we've got the Conservative Party, a guy called Kyle Thornton. Got the Scottish National Party, Nicola Sturgeon. Now, if Nicola Sturgeon gets beaten in her constituency by, I would say Sawa was probably going to be the strongest candidate, there is a grave chance that Nicola Sturgeon will be knocked out, will be knocked out of Parliament, and the revenge for her mismanagement over the number of years will be complete. So Sawa could beat Sturgeon, and if he does, if Sawar beats Sturgeon, then Nicola Sturgeon may not be an MSP by next year, because she's second on the list next to that girl that somehow's come in here and is now worthy of being put ahead of other people in the SNP for reasons I don't know. So Nicola Sturgeon is now, maybe because Nicola Sturgeon's an alleged lesbian, that she likes hanging about with younger ladies, I don't know. So we've got the Conservative Party, Nicola Sturgeon's constituency, Anna Sawar, who could beat Nicola Sturgeon. And if he beats her, Nicola Sturgeon could be out of politics. The Liberal Party, here's when it gets confusing. Now, as I said to you, I'm a libertarian liberal. Carol Benjamin calls it a classical liberal, so a libertarian liberalist. So we separate this. Now, I don't know what Deke Jackson actually in the Liberal Party stands for. I don't know if this is the same Liberal Party that emerged with the Social Democrats, which there's also a Social Democratic Party. A lot of these guys in the Social Democrats were ex-UKIP, and I don't know if they're just like... these would be like a schism from Tony Blair, who's also a Social Democrat, but they don't believe in globalists, I think, globalism, but are still Social Democrats. I don't know if they are libertarian Social Democrats or authoritarian Social Democrats. I don't know if this is an authoritarian Liberal Party, if this is the predecessor, like the Social Democrats were two separate parties before they joined and formed the Liberal Democrats, who are illiberal and not democratic. But we're going to get a new party in this part. This is where I fit in, but I'm a libertarian liberal, a classical liberal. So we're going to get something new. If these people in the Liberal Democrats want to join in, but I don't know what they're doing because I've never heard of them. Everybody's heard of me because there's things I do to make myself heard, as you guys know. But I don't know what the Liberal Democrats stand for. Are they just the old Liberal Party brought back to life for reasons? I have no idea. No idea. So there's Jada Francis. I don't even know this. And it would be good to talk to Deke Jackson or whoever from both from the Social Democratic Party, which is another individual party, and also from the Liberal Party, not the Liberal Democrats just now anyway, but the Liberal Party, because we all know. So Jada Francis, they call Jada Francis because she is, I would say, anti-Islamic, but which is understandable, but I don't know where she is in the political spectrum out with that. Jada Kylie Francis is a British activist and politician formerly involved with the English Defence League, so she must have known Tommy Robinson. She left due to its association with drink fuel violence. Well, okay. She then joined the far-right fascist Britain First. Now, I don't know if Britain First are far-right and fascist. I'm not saying they're not. I just don't know anybody who's in them to even then go and actually find out where they are on the political compass. I don't like just branding something far-right and fascist. And for the sake of far-right and fascist, I don't know where they are. I know Tommy Robinson has done his political compass test, and that shows he's a liberal, a libertarian liberal. He's almost a centrist. So, and he also, Tommy Robinson tried to kick out National Socialists that were trying to get into the English Defence League. So, with Paul Golding as leader, Francis. So, she's standing as an independent. And that she's not standing, as far as I'm aware, from Britain First. I think they were one to set up another political party, but that was actually forbidden or stopped by the Electoral Commission, which I think is wrong. You shouldn't be stopping people from actually setting up parties if you don't agree with them. Maybe it was set up badly, I don't know. Golding and Francis served as deputy leader from 2014 to 2019. She became acting leader for 6 months from December 2016 to June 2017, while Golding was imprisoned December 16. So you were asking about, is this person a globalist or is she a nationalist? I don't know. These are the questions that are never asked of people. Is she a capitalist? Is she a socialist? If she was a socialist, that would put her, and she believed in socialist ideals, although she was anti-Islamic, that may just put her on the libertarian left. None of these questions, because we've got really poor political journalists, none of these questions are asked. They just smear, this is what you are, you're racist, you're far right, not actually asking where they are in the political spectrum, which is quite weird. She marched, but I would suspect they're slandering her because she's not fitting into the globalist narrative. In addition to the online Islamic activism, she marched with holding a white cross, in which she called Christian patrols through predominantly Muslim areas of Britain. In 2018, she was sentenced to 36 weeks imprisonment after being convicted of counts of religious aggravated harassment. She stood in the mayoral office. Oh, this is a new one. They didn't get edited. British Freedom Party, and that's the one that was mainly standing to this. In January 2021, Francine said she was going to stand on the south side. So she stood as an independent seat, currently being held by Nicola Sturgeon in the 2021 Scottish parliamentary election for the British Freedom Party. So again, I have no idea where that actually lies in the political spectrum, and it's better to actually be able to know what she actually represents, because I don't genuinely have a clue of where she is in the political spectrum. I'll talk to anybody, both left and right, to let them explain where they are on the political spectrum, not just to prejudge them and start shouting. I think shouting racist or far right when they're not, somebody's not, is just a form of harassment. I think that's harassment is just as much as anything else. If you're going to start to convict for other things, you need to start doing this as well. People lying about positions, they have to be held accountable, and that may include jail time. So, Jada Francis, very interesting woman, but I still don't know what's her underlying policies on education. What's her underlying on increasing? What's her other policies? We already know Nicola Sturgeon's are terrible. So let's go back. So that's Jada Francis, the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats. So we would be, because and this new party is going to be liberal, we don't know what the Liberal Party stands for. Are they just another type of this party? So are they classical Liberal? We don't know, because there's been no sort of exposure to the Liberal Party. Jada Francis obviously didn't get her political party set up, or it was refused, or something happened, so she stood as an independent. Freedom Alliance. What's the Freedom Alliance? Never heard of them. So these are just popping out of the place. And they really need to stand with other parties. Freedom Alliance is a campaigning political party that is committed to the principle of personal liberties. Why have they not just joined up the Scottish Libertarian Party? And sovereignty and human rights, we reject all forms of government restrictions. For the people, we believe Freedom Alliance is campaigning a political party that is committed to the principles of personal liberty, sovereignty and human rights. We reject all forms. See, what it has to do is amalgamation of these people. These people need to be brought into the one party, and then the rights are actually guaranteed. They bring together. Because all these separate basically want the same thing. I mean, I don't know. These might be libertarian liberals, or they might be libertarians, but some form of libertarians. They might be in the libertarian left. But they're either the centre, the left, or the right. So these need to be brought into to the existing parties, or a new party to bring all these parties in. And that will increase them exponentially. I've never heard, I mean, till I just googled them there, I've never heard of them. But they sound like quite has found guilty of criminal offences. Let me just read this. Freedom Alliance is a campaigning political party that is committed to the principle of personal liberty, sovereignty and human rights. We reject all forms of governmental restriction. Sounds on board up to here. Curtails on freedom, free people. We believe that only an instance which state authority should be right to dictate or restrict an individual's movements is when individuals have been found guilty of a criminal offence in a court of law. So all good there, no problems with any of that. In other instances, we believe absolute in the right of the people, leave home whenever you choose, make your living and operate business premises, freely associate and assemble, speak freely without censorship and penalty, make free and uncoerced medical choices. The Project Freedom. So they would either be better folding into the new party that is coming up just now, or the Scottish Libertarian Party. Absolutely pointless having this party that I hadn't even heard about, but they sound like a great bunch. So maybe it's time that we actually try and do that. You need critical mass to break through in politics. This is great. This is absolutely great. They sound like a great bunch. But there's no point in you being over here and me being over here, and it then becomes like the People's Front, the Judean People's Front. I prefer to work with people and get them on board. So the new party that I'm setting up, these guys could come in. Colin Fox's party could come in. Probably David Cushion's party could fold in, and then it starts to gain critical mass. It then starts to have heavy hitters who have got a political understanding, and by bringing all these people in and rather having multiple parties, bringing them all in together, it then becomes massive as well. So that's what to do. This way of doing it is just ridiculous. So I would probably, out of all of that, it'd be interesting if Sarwar won and beat Nicola Sturgeon, because then Nicola Sturgeon's got real problems. But on principle, and who's here, I would probably vote for Carol Dobson. And obviously I'm against authoritarianism, so Jada Francine, although I've got major question marks because I really don't know where Jada Francis is on and I might vote for Derek Jackson for being a liberal myself, but Anis Sarwar is potentially going to win this. What are you guys saying? I agree, Theresa. Over 1 million postal votes being cast in Scotland. You can bet the SNP will be doing a Biden. Yeah, oh, very interesting, Theresa. The left are horrific. Yeah, under the Greens, no doubt they'll be recycling your own urine. I don't like them on any level. So let's keep going then. So I hope they find that. So that's quite interesting. Don't know about this. I'm going to bookmark that. Later. I think maybe we should try and contact them, or somebody can contact me, guerillatvchannel@gmail.com for the Freedom guys. I've never heard of them. I don't know how to contact them. You would think you would have a contact to actually get in contact with them. Who's in charge? See, don't know who's in charge, don't know your budget, your manifesto, anything about you. Carol has spent her year working. So Carol, if you want to get in contact with me, I'd love to have a chat with you. We don't know who this person is. Jada Francis has obviously got a high profile as well. And really, it's only Sawar and Nicola Sturgeon that have got high profiles. Independent Greg, energy advisor. So, that's all very well and good. So we now go on to the constituency, the area, and who have you got for here? So independent. So we don't know who the independents are, what independent we're voting for, and they will inevitably be a waste of time. Abolish the Scottish Parliament. So I don't really support that. I would abolish some of the people that are in the Scottish Parliament, but I don't believe in abolishing the Scottish Parliament. Alba is now sitting at 6%. Looks like it's going to get people, actual people elected. So I wouldn't not suspect to see Salmond back in the Parliament. All for Unity, Georgie Porgy's bunch, and Georgie Porgy has a chance of getting back in. I think they're sitting at 4%, and it was a bit strange the way they had put it in the poll the other day there. Communist Party of Britain, 100 million people died under communism, and that's enough said. That killed more people than National Socialists, obviously another left-wing ideology. The fake Conservatives, in the middle of a pandemic, we're still letting people in. Obviously it can't be that serious, just letting people stroll into the UK while they're trying to fine us £5,000. I mean, the Conservative Party are a joke anyway, they really are. I'm not going to town in the Conservative Party, but I might do that before the election. Freedom Alliance seem like a good bunch. I think I don't know if there's any point in this. They should just go into the Scottish Libertarian Party or the new party that we're about to form if they're libertarians. The Greens, like the village idiots, it's like the village idiots from all over Scotland finally go to a location and vote for the biggest village idiots out of all the village idiots, and then we get the leadership of the Green Party. Independent Green Voice, oh my goodness, honestly, I don't know if that's just like environment, like gardeners or something, I don't know. Obviously the GIMP party, don't forget they're a GIMP party as well. They're not, we've got a bunch of GIMPs, liberal, undemocratic Democrats. Then we've got Colin Fox's Reclaim Party, which again, Colin Fox is a cracking guy, just like the Family Party, cracking guys in the Family Party. They need to come together. Reclaim should come together with the Freedom Alliance, Reclaim, Scottish Libertarian Party, or my new party. If I think Colin and Freedom Alliance might be centrists, so I would actually go out of my way to contact them to try and get them into this new Libertarian Liberal party, which is exactly, I think, what they are. And it's pointless having these parties standing against each other because they're just splitting the vote. Colin Fox, myself, David Curtin in one party is going to be far more powerful than all of us in separate parties saying the one things. And I'm certainly not that egotistic where I wouldn't actually get them in, work with them, and even put them ahead of me. It's no problem, but it would be better working together. Reform UK, so we've got, so that's the Reform UK party, Nigel's party. If you're a unionist, I would definitely vote for these guys under Michelle Ballantyne. Michelle, I've only seen her a few times. Again, we don't know what any of these other parties stand for. They reduced the choice to the Lib Lab Con Party, SNP and Greens, so we don't then get to actually find out what all these other parties are saying. Renew, no idea what Renew is. At least these guys have got some something there. Renew began in 2017 when a group of individuals, including James Torrance, James Clark, stood as independent candidates. So I still don't know who the hell they are. I don't have a clue. Vision, here we go. This is what we want to see. Dedicate people commitment and desire to serve and build a better country. We embrace innovative policy ideas to help deliver change in matters. So openness for people, freedom, identity. I don't like that. Identity, information for community, passion, pragmatism, tolerance, admission, belief, interest, form, transparency. I couldn't tell you where that was on the political compass. At least they've got some sort of contact information there as well, which is pretty good, because most of these political parties you can't even find. So I'll get back to renew at a later date. So we've obviously got the Family Party, which were hijacking their video. Scottish Libertarian Party, which is the one I'll certainly be voting for. Both votes stank. Both votes Scottish Libertarian Party. Scottish National Party, who think they can just corrupt democracy now. So there we've got the Social Democratic Party. Obviously the Social Democratic Party and the Liberals combined to make the liberal, undemocratic Democrats. I don't know if these are Social Democratic authoritarians or libertarians or globalists, just like I don't know if the Labour Party, the Liberal Party are globalists, authoritarians, libertarian, liberals. I don't know, because we've not heard anything from them, and they have to start to find out. We'll see if I'll come back to them on an individual basis and find out if where they are. Try and speak to some of the guys, giving them a platform to actually, so we can find out who and what we're voting for. Trade Unions and Socialist Coalition. So it's like the People's Front of Judea, the Judean People's Front, and we've just got a plethora of these parties. UK Independence Party, which are surprisingly sitting about 2%, so they're still getting the Ukip are still getting a hit on the Westminster intentions as well. Nigel's is sitting about 4%. Nigel's old party, Tim Rice's party now. And women's equality, another, I think these are men-hating lesbians who hate men, basically, and want to bring in political lesbianism and bring in books, I Hate Men, on the national curriculum for children. So that's that then. So that's all the people who you can vote, I think, on the regional list. So that's where your regional list vote will go if you're in Nicola Sturgeon's constituency. Wishaw and Motherwell. Let's see Wishaw and Motherwell. Motherwell and Wishaw. Oh, here we go. This is going to be the good one. Oh, there's a very handsome chap there called Marcus Meakin, aka Count Dankula. So everybody's doing 2 votes for Mr. Dankula, and the Scottish Libertarian Party look like they're going to get thousands of votes in that area. Vote Dank is, I think, what's the slogan is, and the Scottish Libertarian Party are going to have their best showing so far in their history, which isn't very long, but it is going to be the best night for the Scottish Libertarian Party. We've got Neil Wilson given the opportunity for the Ukip. And then we've got the Conservatives. Don't think anybody will vote for them, or the Liberals, or the Labour Party that's just collapsed. And we've got the Communist Party who have killed 100 million people, but I don't know if we're going to get like the Nazi Party back in. People are going to be openly Nazis as well. And Claire Adamson, who has done nothing and is just absolute waste of time in Parliament. So it'll be Marcus Meakin. 2 votes for that one, I think. Vote for him in the constituency and on the regional list in his area, Central Scotland area. So we've got the same. I'm not going to go through them all again. I'm just going to check if there's anything different. Obviously, Alba Party is Alex Salmons, sitting at about 6% just now. Independent Green Voice, blah, 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 blah. Where's the Family Party? There's the Family Party there. Now, I like the other parties. The Family Party are a moderately conservative party, so they would be better in to UKIP or the folding into the Reform Party, or unless they're just a pressure group for pressurising the change. But I would suggest you could actually get some of them in UKIP and some of them in the Reform Party, and then you've got another two parties who have got greater chances of getting votes. It would stop you taking the votes from them, and if they're clever, UKIP or the Reform Party would allow them to express the opinions, which seem very... I mean, I think he's quite Richard's quite an intelligent guy as well. I don't think he says anything strange, but it would then formulate within the Reform Party and within UK Independence, maybe even the Conservative Party, because it seems like quite a conservative bunch, that you could actually scrap the family planning and go into UKIP, go into the Reform, and go into Conservative, and that way you're going to influence all three. What I would do is set up internal pressure groups, or not internal pressure groups, but internal groups within each of these three political parties, and actually pressurise the parties for what you did inside as well. And you're going to have a far greater influence in politics by scrapping the party. We don't even have to scrap it. You can actually still hold. You can still do it, but I would then get the family party and use the family party to influence. I mean, you could influence all the parties. You could actually get guys as not moles, but infiltrate and become members of the other parties, and then use internally the ideas from the family party to infect all of the other parties by getting your members to go in and start up family party pressure groups internally within each of the various. You don't even have to restrict it to the Conservative Party, the Reform UK Party, or the UK Independence Party. You could just start to infect all of the other parties, and then that would be the easiest way for somebody to bring forward the agenda that you're looking to do. I would do if I was clever. So, find out what the Renew Party is. We'll do that later on. So there's Marcus Meakin, a lovely fellow, had to go through a lot of trials and tribulations, had a beautiful daughter. His wife's like the fantastic cook, she's like the Scottish version of Delia Smith. Bit edgy, bit rock and roll, and don't we love it? So that's that then. That's going to be an interesting one. What about Tam Laird? Edinburgh Central. Oh, Tam Laird. It's another big name in politics that's coming up. Oh, it's fantastic, so sexy. There we go. Oh, where is it? Oh, Tam Laird, King Ming the Merciless. He is the best in the politics. It's fantastic. You can vote for him first. I'd certainly be voting for him. Angus Robertson, big name for the SNP there, who's going against Conservative. Scott Douglas, never heard of him. So, I think it's Tam Laird versus Angus Robertson in this case. Tam Laird, Scottish Libertarian Party, absolutely huge. Although Tam Laird won't get near Angus Robertson, Tam Laird will have his best night in politics ever. It's best, most votes for it as well. And there is opportunities. I believe they're sitting about 4% the Scottish Libertarian Party, and there is now opportunities, obviously, through the regional vote. He may get in through the back door. I think he's sitting high up on the regional list, so he's got a really good chance. An Independence Party as well, so if they don't want to waste a vote voting for the Scottish National Party in the regional vote, then you vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party through Tam Laird. So but there's no, we've got no, you'll get UKIP there. So if you wanted to vote for UKIP, there's an alternative there. But we've got no Brexit Party or UK Reform Party standing in the constituency. We can obviously vote for the Reform Party in the second place. But I would have suggested that if the Reform Party were seriously wanting to get in every seat that they could in Scotland, and especially the first past the post, if you're going to be a serious political party, although you will pick up potentially MPs through the second part, you have to fight them in every seat, you have to grow in every seat, you have to get councillors in every seat. What's my baby Guerilla saying? Derek Jackson is a busker from the Fairland. I think the new name Deke, he deserves a seat. That's as good as the potential Sturgeon offers. I agree, Theresa. What's Theresa saying? Over 1 million postal votes being cast in Scotland. You can bet the SNP will be doing a Biden. Of course they will. Of course they will. We need to scrap that. They're just trying. The globalists are trying to pervert the actual system. Of course we know this, and include the Conservatives, the Liberals, the Greens, the SNP, all of them. All of those parties are globalist. You were asking about who's not a globalist party. The UK Independence Party, Scottish Libertarian Party are globalist parties as well. Are not globalist parties. So the SNP is a globalist party. Liberals, illiberal Liberals, Labour, Greens, Conservatives, and Bonnie Prince Bob. I'm not quite sure what Bonnie Prince Bob is, but that will be a fun night there. Bonnie Prince Bob. I'm lucky I can vote for the Libertarians twice. Yeah, that's great. They've not got it out in every area just now to be able to vote for them twice, but yeah, there will be ways of voting for them twice. This is going to be now, remember I told you my friend was the first person to stand for the Scottish Libertarians in Anderson. He got 12 votes. He was Mr. Universe and he got 12. So the first person to stand for the Scottish Libertarian was my friend, who I cajoled into it, who not interested in politics. He was trying to get me to get him out of the situation, and he got 12 votes. Which is quite good, because not many people had heard about the Scottish Libertarian Party. In this election, they were starting to get hundreds. Kaz Paul in Fife got hundreds of votes. He's done probably the best in the constituency. This time in Scotland, the Scottish Libertarian Party are going to get thousands of votes. Thousands of votes across Scotland now. Thousands and thousands of votes. From 12 votes to thousands and thousands of votes. Now that Count Dankula is standing, people can actually see it's the media that are persecuting the individual. They will get thousands and thousands of votes. Get that to the bank. Here we go, Richard.
SB to be bringing up these issues in the Parliament.
Don't vote and get. The Labour Party are collapsing. Labour Party are down, I think, 16%. Nobody's voting for the Labour Party now. Not even the people who used to. I've got guys on the guys very nicely said about me not saying anything racist, which was great as well. But they also were disgusted at the way I was treated. Obviously, I'm from a working class background. My great grandfather was a plater in the Clyde. My grandparents were textile workers. I'm from the Scottish working class. And that's the way the other people in the working class saw that way I was treated. I don't dislike people who are socialists. I understand why they're socialists, and I understand that in their mind that they think they're doing the best thing for Scottish people. I don't have a problem with that, but it's the wrong mindset, unfortunately, and a lot of them ingrained. A lot of the things we repeat the same patterns rather than actually stepping out. So I'm sort of here to get us to step out of that narrow mindset and the socialism that's adversely affecting Scotland.
But as party leader, that doesn't really cut it. It doesn't really make an impact on the national.
But this guy's great, and this is the type of person who should be standing for Ukip or the Conservative Party, or in one of the seats where the UK Reform Party is not standing. This is the type of guy. This guy is a quality politician, or could be a quality member to the Scottish Parliament. But he's not going to do it in the family party, which a lot of what he says about stable relationships and developing things in the house, and a lot of this stuff is correct.
Stage. Anyway, you're familiar with the Labour Party. Now, there's also a party called the SNP.
Who are corrupt.
The Scottish National Party. They're a party of anti-nationalists. Now, a lot of the support...
Anti-nationalists. Yeah, fake nationalists. That's absolutely brilliant. a bunch of SJWs, a bunch of postmodernist Marxist scumbags. Let's call it what it is.
Are nationalists. For some of their supporters, voting SNP is akin to supporting the Scottish football team. To a lot of their supporters, it is based on a sense of Scottish national identity.
But who's leading it are the SJWs.
But the SNP themselves and their policies are actually internationalists.
They're a globalist party. What I mean, how to deceive you, calling themselves a nationalist party, but when they're actually a globalist party? Talk about deception. Oh, disgusting.
It seems more that they want to leave the UK in order to escape from British national identity rather than embodying Scottish national identity.
Which is completely correct analysis. It's completely correct political analysis.
It's a positive thing. They want to dissolve Scotland into the EU soup. Anyway, other things about the SNP, you don't need me to go into those. I mean, there are lots of problems to talk about.
I mean, I don't understand. Now you've got alternatives like the Scottish Libertarian Party to vote for. I can't understand why anybody would be voting for the Scottish National Party.
The Lib Dems, they're a bit like the SNP.
Liberal, undemocratic Democrats.
SNPs, only they're unionist.
I'm a liberal. I'm actually a classical liberal. I don't even recognise the Liberal Democrats as being liberal.
And the other defining factor about the Lib Dems is they always seem such nice people, which is great. But on the other hand, sometimes they seem to maybe lack the cutting edge as well in the debating chamber. Right, staying with some centrist parties, there's also the SDP.
So, I don't know the policies of the SDP. I mean, obviously we've got the SDP and the Liberals form the Liberal Democrats. And the SDP come from the right hand of the right side of the Labour Party. But I don't know if these are globalists. I don't know if they're authoritarian. I've met guys in the SDP who are ex-Ukip guys, and they were actually sound. They were actually sound guys. But I don't know if these are SDP or libertarians or they're authoritarians. I don't know any of that. And as you know, I'm into my politics, so maybe the guys in the SDP want to come and talk to me. I'll be more than happy to talk and give you the correct information. I don't just make it up. That's what the papers do. That's what Paul Hutchins, the political journalist of the year, they just make it up. I tell you what it is.
Social Democratic Party. Remember, there used to be the SDP and there's the Liberal Party. They merged to make the Lib Dems. But as often happens with a merger, you start with two, they merge to make a new one, and you end up with three.
Like you. I don't like you either. I'm going to form my own party.
Because some of this group...
What I want to do is bring people together. Well, that's what I want to do. You can't force people to come together. But I would work with Colin Fox. I think Colin Fox is delightful. I work with David Cushion. If I'm in the right part of the political spectrum, well, I agree with a lot of what David Cushion said, who's now standing for Labour Mayor, and I'm more than happy to work with him. He seems like a cracking guy. I'd bring Carol Benjamin. I would try and the Liberalists, bring all the various party people together. That's what I would look to do, and get them to be in charge and take things forward. I wouldn't like to hold back anybody.
Doesn't want to join the new one. Some of this group doesn't want to join the merger, so they carry on. So the SDP carried on in the background, but it came to life a little bit more recently. A lot of the activists in it were refugees from Ukip in Scotland. But it's now a sort of centrist, anti-woke, anti-social justice party. And one of their defining features...
Well, all sound. And that's what I saw from the SDP. They were quite a sound bunch of guys.
Was being pro-Brexit. I thought I would say probably that was the defining feature of the party not too long ago.
So they may be, unlike Tony Blair's social democratic ideals being a globalist show, these guys might actually be anti-globalists. You rightly point out that a lot of these guys were ex-UKIP guys, and they were all sound, all nice guys.
But now that's water under the bridge, so I think they've lost that crucial defining feature. The SDP is of the party not too long ago, but now that's water under the bridge, so I think they've lost that crucial defining feature. The SDP's maybe most prominent supporter in Scotland would be David Robertson, the Christian Free Church minister, blogger. he came out saying he was a member and supporter. I don't know if he still is. I assume he still is, which I found quite interesting, because David Robertson would talk about abortion in the sternest terms as an absolute moral abomination, a real catastrophe. And yet when it came to picking a party to support, he expressed his support for a party that's quite happy with this moral catastrophe continuing.
See, this is why I think me as a libertarian, I would probably be comfortable if the SDP merged into the Scottish Libertarian Party, or the Libertarian Liberalist Party that's coming up. We could actually bring these guys in, because a lot of these guys were sound anyway. So again, we'll try and suck in everybody and get them into the one party.
Which I found quite confusing. David Robertson's usually up for a debate. If he wants to come and debate that on the live stream, I'd be more than happy to discuss it. Right, moving on through our party list, the Conservatives. You know about the Conservative Party in Scotland, mushy and unprincipled. And you've always got to remember the Conservatives. If you hear one of them talking sense, always remember there's probably another one saying exactly the opposite thing to someone else in a different context.
Yeah, well, he's correct here. When part of it, like Ruthie Baby, is a Tory reform group, and she's a globalist show. And there are sound people in, like Murdo Fraser, who's very intelligent, and he's held back in the Conservative Party, where Ruthie Baby, the mad lesbo buffalo rider, is brought forward.
And often the Conservatives come in making sort of vaguely the right noises.
Yeah, they make the right noises and don't do anything. They're useless. Useless party. Don't vote Tory.
But it's too little and too late.
Yeah, because they've caused the problem in the first place.
I mean, a few months ago, Murdo Fraser, the Conservative MSP, he came out and wrote an article about the trans issue, saying that he was concerned about some aspects. It was quite a timid and limited article in some ways, but what he said was right, and I agreed with him. But it reminded me of, if you think about D-Day, the first wave arrives, they go storming up the beach, half of them get shot, they fight their way into the fortresses and manage to capture some of the Germans, and eventually they've managed to win the beachhead. Then the second wave comes along, and that's maybe got a couple of Scottish Conservatives in, who will get out of the landing craft and say, right, we need to get up this beach and attack those fortresses at the top, when people have already taken the risks and fought the battle in front of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, Scottish Conservatives, you're familiar with them. Right, continuing along the political spectrum.
Yeah, don't vote for them either.
Ukip, UK-wide and in Scotland, has been riven by schism.
Don't forget great guys like Count Dankula and Paul Joseph Watson and Milo and good guys like that, Sargon, all joined UKIP, and then it caused a bit of a schism there as well. And obviously there was another schism with Nigel leaving to provide the Reform Party. And there's just been schisms all over the place.
For years, for some reason or other, I'm sure psychologists have got explanations, parties on this side of the political spectrum tend to attract people who basically are either impossible to work with or just can't work with each other. You get some ego problems, people stabbing each other.
Yeah, I don't have an ego. Although somebody said there was a narcissist, I don't have that problem. I don't have a massive ego. I don't mind if somebody gets further on than me. It's no problem with me, as long as they're doing the right thing. Tam Laird took over from Alan as leader of the Scottish National Party, and Tam said to me, David, why did you support Alan? I said, I just support the person at the top, so you've got my confidence being at the top. And I think Tam Laird is realising that I support the person, and the person needs support at the top to do the job. It's hard enough in politics getting backstabbed and everything else. I support the person that's in power, because that person requires to be, especially if he's doing the right thing. If he's gone horrendously off course, which Tam hasn't, he's done a brilliant job, then obviously there has to be criticism. But yeah, that's basically it.
About constantly. So that's happened in UKIP on at all sorts of levels. A few years ago, UKIP took a turn in very much the anti-Islam direction, but it's
everybody should be anti-Islam. There should be nobody saying, oh, Islam's a great thing, because it's not. Islam's the worst thing. Sex slaves, killing homosexuals, killing atheists. It's a death cult. Everybody should be anti-Islam. Anybody who's not anti-Islam needs their head rent. Yo, Jimmy, how you doing, Jim? Hi, Jimmy, how you doing? Feeling the masses to enslave them, freeing the masses to enslave them. That's right. Of course, most of the dictatorships over the hundreds of years were built upon socialism, communism. Well, I mean, it's not just that. The authoritarianism stretches from left to right. I mean, the thing about us is we are predominantly libertarians. How are you doing, Calamity? Good to see you. Call him out on this. And he blocked me. What did he block you from, buddy? Scottish Family Party are race-blind Zeo shills, are they? Ah, interesting. But they're still strong on the family, which is obviously very important that we get back to a better relationship between men and women. Women don't see men as the oppressor and the enemy getting pumped through our academic system in our universities by Marxists in there. So I want to date women and be respectful, go to back to a bit of chivalry with women. Actually go on dates and get to know them. That's what I like to do, and they follow on to have a family, etc., etc. Exactly what Richard has said and alludes to in other podcasts about what the family planning stands for. Family party, sorry. Family planning's a different thing.
Turned away from that a bit now, but in Scotland, from what I can tell, there's virtually nothing left of it. The Edinburgh branch is closed, the Glasgow branch is closed. Virtually everyone I know who used to be involved in Ukip isn't anymore. But their secret weapon for the Scottish election is the policy of abolishing the Scottish Parliament. And I'd imagine on the ballot paper they were thinking...
I don't think that's a winner, to be honest with you. I don't want the Scottish Parliament abolished. I don't think that's something that's good. It may have a resonance on some people, but I don't necessarily think that that's a vote winner just now. Certainly not from the polls. And even though the SNP are shocking, I still wouldn't want the Scottish Parliament abolished.
Thinking of having something like Ukip abolish the Scottish Parliament, and I think that might have been quite effective. But
I don't know how large that constituency would be.
Coming on to our next party, the Abolished the Scottish Parliament Party.
So why don't they just join to UKIP? So what was the point? What was the point in having abolished the Scottish Parliament and not just joining UKIP? They could have just stood together, and then they would have had a greater chance of actually getting some people elected. It doesn't even matter if that person wasn't very good as an MP. The fact that there was representation there to vote for is going to be the big thing.
Now, this is
I don't support that, but that's just on a purely political point, on best political strategy.
Founded by some people I understand who come out of UKIP as well. And I've heard, I don't know how right this is, I've heard almost sort of out of spite, they decided to take UKIP's tagline and steal it. So UKIP won't be able to put abolish the Scottish Parliament or abolish Holyrood on the ballot paper because this party has got it as its name.
That's quite fly, and I don't know if that's a pro site as well. They could nick the name and then not run any candidates. So, but I don't support abolishing the Scottish Parliament. I don't think a lot of other Scottish people do as well.
So how will they do? Will they get many votes?
Abolish the SNP.
For that message, abolish Holyrood? I think they might get quite a few. People are just in the, get rid of a lot of them. Oh, that'll sort it out.
I don't think that's correct.
So, maybe quite a few people will want to vote.
There may be a constituency for it, but I don't think it's large.
Some people think it's the way to kill off nationalism. I think the opposite. Abolishing the Scottish Parliament will be the way to inflame nationalism to a point where I would really worry about the consequences of that. But obviously, UKIP and Abolish the Scottish Parliament Party are going to be splitting each other's vote. Right, moving on. Another UKIP splinter group for Britain. They exist in Scotland. Very small.
Well, I mean, that's. Anne-Marie Waters is an intelligent woman. But Anne-Marie Waters, Jada Francis, All of these parties should try and come together. The fact that this is all splintered like this just becomes like the People's Front, the Judean People's Front. You can't actually get any critical mass. If all these people were on the one party and they was going together, but they try and do what Nigel Farage is and push people out. And when you push people out, you just split the party, or you dilute the party. You might as well have edgy people in it. Look at Georgie Porgy. Georgie Porgy was crucial for representation of the left in even the Social Democratic Party under Tony Blair, i.e. the Labour Party at the time.
Small, as far as I know.
What happened there?
The big folk may not have. Right, the Scottish inflation, as far as I know.
What happened there?
The big focus of there is a big.
This happens from time to time. I don't understand how they do it.
To a point where I put it out. But looking at the Libertarian thing, they, for example, would want to abolish the NHS in its current form of funding, which is a pretty radical policy in Britain.
Can't hear nothing. Hear nothing, man. Can't hear nothing.
Realise sometimes
what's going on?
How right wing Libertarians are. When people think of right wing, they tend to think of it going into like racism or whatever at the extreme. But looking at the
you guys hear that? Don't agree with the abolition of the Scottish Parliament. Yeah, I don't agree with that either. So I don't understand how this just happens. It just
for them, because they've got a ready-made response. Right, anti-Islam to kill off nationalism. I think Ukip and Abolished in Scotland, very small as far as I know. And another Ukip splinter group for Britain. They exist in Scotland, very small as far as I know. The big focus of there is a big focus of theirs is anti-Islam. Now, by anti-Islam, I don't mean anti-Muslims. I mean concerns about Islam.
Because there's a child rapist death count.
May or may not agree with, but how relevant are they to Scotland? Is it a good idea for a party to make that its leading issue, a really central issue?
Yeah, I don't agree. I agree. I don't think it should be a central issue. I think, but obviously I've said correctly the analysis of Islam, and the media and everybody else will try and put that front and centre. But what my expertise will be is on policy, not on Islam. Islam just now is a secondary issue just now, although it's substantial.
And into a Scottish election, I'm not sure it really is. But I'm not sure they're going to appear on the ballot paper, but they might.
So, again, can't get candidates. There has to be a way of actually having other political voices in the actual discourse. And even if it was for Britain, it wouldn't bother me. I don't think Anne-Marie Waters for Britain's that terrible a party. But I still don't know. Okay, they're anti-Islamic, a bit like Jada Francis. They're anti-Islamic, but what else do they believe? We're going to have proper policies, going to have ways of costing it. We're going to go through every aspect of what these policies are and show a full train of policies, which is not going to be based around Islam.
Right, the Scottish Libertarian Party, they'll appear on the ballot paper.
1-year-old that helped set up is already going from strength to strength.
At least in some areas of Scotland. I'm pretty confident with that. But the lockdown's been a great issue for them because they've got a ready-made response to that.
Yeah, stop the lockdown, stop the vaccine passports. Yeah, we're not doing either of those. That's why I'll be voting for the Scottish Libertarian Party.
Libertarians, so they'll be against lockdowns. But maybe people don't realise sometimes just how right-wing the Libertarians are. When people think
I'm not going to go too far into it, but that's actually why I left, because I'm a centrist. So we're saying, oh, you're far right. So that's why I left. I left because it is on the right, but it's still better than anything else. It's the fact that something's on the right doesn't mean it's bad. That you could have better arguments about how bad the far left had been over the years. 100 million dead under communism in various countries. I was on a shoot, a film shoot, with somebody who went and said, I'm a communist. I said, oh, that's very interesting. I said to her, do you not know that there's been 100 million people died under communism? And she said, she was young, and I think we were all communists when we were young. She said, that only happened under Stalin. And it was just the naivete of her actually saying that. Even if it was just under Stalin, which it wasn't, but even if it was just under Stalin, you could make that argument about National Socialism.
The right wing, they tend to think of it going into like racism or whatever at the extreme. But looking at the libertarian thing, they, for example, would want to abolish the NHS in its current form of funding, which is a pretty radical policy in Britain. They basically would like to abolish the welfare state and state education.
Yeah, because I'm a centrist, that's where my schism with them. But obviously, the libertarian side of the political spectrum is massive, and we've only been sort of privy to authoritarian, moderate usually authoritarian political parties in the UK, but we haven't been exposed. So Carol Benjamin said, and I'm going to go into this if I can get Carol's thing, he talked about libertarianism, and he said he wants to get called a classical liberal, but what Carol is a libertarian liberal rather than a neoliberal, which would be an authoritarian liberal. And I'll go into the minutiae of all of that as well, but I understood what Carol was saying. I didn't think he understood that I understood what he was saying, because obviously I had already had the experiences in Scotland with the Scottish Libertarian Party, so I was already I could have probably gone right into a deep conversation with them. Carol Benjamin and I are pretty much on the same square on the political compass anyway, just like me and Count Dankula as well. So it's a good fit for Dank, because Dank is a nationalist and he wants an independent Scotland. He wants an independent Scotland outside the EU. Perfect fit for him. Perfect. But Dank is also a centrist libertarian. So on other issues, we'll be a better fit for him. But anyway, that's still to come anyway. I'm very excited about that.
And they're also in favour of Scottish independence. I think with the libertarians, they're very much driven by their theory that liberty and freedom are good. And
I think we all agree with that. Liberty and freedom are definitely good.
Themselves, the market will take care of it. Now, I would say...
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with... a complete free market. That's why I'm not. They're better than nothing, but they're not completely bang on with me on certain ideology. But I don't want to decry them, because they're certainly better than a lot of the other parties.
It's better to take a more case-by-case approach, and so on.
Which is what we'll do.
This issue, it seems like an open market solution could be very helpful. But whereas on this issue, maybe... Yeah,
he's completely correct. There needs to be pragmatism in the cases, and they don't do that just now. And that is correct. That's why there'll be an alternative to that. So he is correct on that.
The government's taking more of a role is going to be better. Whereas
I think the less the government get involved, the better as well. So that way I'm slightly more on the libertarian side.
Libertarians, it tends to be a one track, that you've always got to get the government out of it and leave it up to free markets and free individuals.
Yeah, that's much better.
Anyway, that's the libertarians. Right, moving on. The Independent Scotland Party. This is a new party, and their philosophy is that in the Scottish election, you get two votes. The first vote for the constituency, second vote on the regional list. And what happens with the SNP is...
So whoever these guys are, I don't know, is going to be another irrelevance of a party. They might get people voting thinking this is the Alba Party and getting votes that way as well. But a pointless party. You've already got the Alba Party. Alex Salmond is a political entity. I'm getting one a sound guard for this as well, guys, because I can hear me breathing, picking up my breathing. So that's coming next week or something. So the Alba Party, this party is probably going to take votes away from the Alba Party, because they might think that this is the Alba Party, and I don't know who's in this party, haven't got a clue. And there's already the Scottish Libertarian Party that you can vote for if you're on your regional list rather than the SNP or the Alba Party. Both are nationalist parties. So you've got that choice already. So this is going to be another irrelevance and actually taking votes away from the other two main parties. And I don't know, other than independence, what it stands for either.
Is in recent years, they've won virtually all the constituencies, which means, via a complicated process, that they end up getting virtually no MSPs with the list vote, even though they get a lot of votes. So some independence campaigners have thought through, quite rightly, that actually the way to get more independent...
This party, if they want to do that, should have just folded themselves into the Alba Party. This is going to be a waste of time.
...supporting MSPs in the Parliament is to vote for a different independence party.
And that's going to be the Alba Party. The Alba Party is going to vacuum up every vote unless somebody mistakenly thinks that this is the Alba Party in the regional list.
Supporting party on the list. Now,
or the SNP, the Scottish Libertarian Party. So the Scottish Libertarian Party should push the same agenda as the Alba Party and vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party on the second vote if you want to vote for Scottish independence. That would be my tactic.
To be honest, I don't think this is a new thought, and I think that's why the Greens do relatively well, is because it's independent supporters wanting to get more independence backers in the Parliament. It's not
the village idiots.
I think the Greens are preferable to the SNP. Right, so this strategy, to take this strategy so explicitly, does that amount to cheating? Well, that's a bit of an open question. I think ultimately it doesn't. The problem is with the system. The system allows itself to be played, and I think the system should be changed to prevent this. I think if the SNP were to say, don't vote for us with your second vote, vote for the Independent Scotland Party, then I think the Electoral Commission would say, no, this is not on, this is not a separate party, and they would ban the Independent Scotland Party. So it's quite interesting. Now, I spoke to someone, or communicated with someone involved in the Independent Scotland Party while it was being set up. And they said, basically the idea is just to get people supporting independence. But
should they just voted into the Alba Party? Doesn't make any sense.
Also, it was going to be a little bit socially conservative. It would, just back off from some of the SNP's more extreme, so woke agenda. But looking at them now that they exist, that's not the case at all. I mean, the only policy they have like that is they oppose the Gender Recognition Act. But apart from that, that's it. They're totally on board with the sort of liberal, progressive, secular direction.
The woke are not liberal. They're communist, the Marxists.
The SNP is going.
I'm a liberal.
The other thing I'd say with the Independent Scotland Party, their approach to independence, I would say, is very hard line and is going to inflame the independence movement considerably and to increase impatience and frustration in it, again with unpredictable consequences, I would say. Right, that's the Independent Scotland Party. Right, we next come to its duplicate. Another party with virtually exactly the same philosophy.
What a waste of time. Absolutely going nowhere parties.
Just to maximise the independence vote on the regional list.
Would it be better just joining the Alba Party or voting for the Scottish Libertarian Party? These complete waste of time parties are just... Don't vote for them in the regional list. They're going to go nowhere. If you're going to support, if you want to use that platform, support the Scottish Libertarian Party or the Alba Party, and these other ones are a waste of time. They should have just rolled into the Alba Party to maximise the vote, and both of these should have just done that if that's what they wanted to do.
And that's called Action for Independence. They've already fallen out with the Independent Scotland Party, which is really crazy because they're virtually identical, but they're going to split each other's votes.
So, I mean, they're just stupid. I mean, that's what happens, unfortunately, when egos come into play and you can't moderate your own personal narcissism to actually... Okay, it's hard to go up the slippery pole of politics, but you should try and help the people that are around you to actually maximise what you're doing. A lot of the things don't overlap, so being supportive to them is certainly beneficial.
Now, the Action for Independence Party was founded by Nigel Donn, who was a former SNP MSP. He was a Christian, actually, opposed same-sex marriage, and then he got deselected after them. Now, I thought...
because wee Nippy's a lesbian, alleged lesbian, intersexual, feminist, Marxist, postmodernist Marxist, horrible wee individual, childless, not helping our population reproduce.
It looked like maybe he'd been deselected because of his unfashionable opinions. I've heard that that wasn't actually the case. There were other issues as well, but whatever. So that's the Action for Independence Party. I've had a look at it online, and to be honest, it looks an absolute shambles. I mean, I couldn't find a website. The Facebook page was all over the place. But anyway, so you've got two parties there doing exactly the same thing. They're just going to split each other's votes. And I would imagine that will result in neither of them achieving anything, apart from taking votes off the SNP, which you might regard as an achievement, depending on your perspective. Right, continuing with parties that are sort of just obsessed with the Constitution, we've got the Alliance for Unity. Now, with the Alliance for Unity, question one is, alliance, who is it an alliance with? And the answer is, well, no one.
Commies. Where's an alliance with the CCP in China that Georgie Porgy keeps simping for? Oh, that CCP are a lovely bunch of guys, and the mother of all talk shows. They're great. Oh, I love the credit scoring. Oh, fantastic. When they bring it over here. Oh, do you like my trophy? Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we're going to forget about the 45 million people that have been killed. Oh, forget about that.
The idea was to approach the other parties and see if they could do some sort of deal. But the other parties inevitably, obviously, have rejected that idea. Now, this party is led by George Galloway, who I would say is a pretty hard left figure in the Jeremy Corbyn mould, very, very anti-Israel. If you look at his Wikipedia page, you can see he's quite a...
he's got this swastika on it. Don't forget, obviously, George being a commie, the communist teachings of Marx, which he was simping for as well, was anti-Semitic as well. So don't forget. Also, obviously, National Socialism came out of the left as well, as did fascism. So let's not forget where this came from. The fascist movement in Italy weren't anti-Semitic. The fascist movement in Italy had 100,000 Jews in it.
Colourful character, all sorts of incidents in his past. But as far as I can see, they've basically got one policy. And the one policy is defend the union. Now, as far as I can tell, all the people I come across who say they like the Alliance for Unity or they're going to support it, they're going to vote for it.
They've all been lobotomised. Oh, I like staying in my house by myself, it's great.
Real right-wingers.
Window liquors, did you say there? They're all Georgie Porgy's window liquors. Oh, George was... a fedora, not Sylvia, it's a fedora, is it? Sorry about my lack of hat knowledge, Denise. Shouldn't stick a nut in a squirrel gob. It'll talk and no action. It'll talk no action. Just seen wee Nippy on Channel 4. What a horrible little troll. No answers, all excuses. Yeah, she was saying that she missed the ball. That's why Scotland's got the largest number of drug deaths in the world. That she missed the ball. There's people dying because of her incompetence. Oh, I'd hate to see her when she wasn't missing the ball. And just let me apologise to anybody's family who actually died and their loved one actually died either through our negligence with care homes or our negligence with people who are taking drugs and cutting the actual drug prevention treatments in Scotland. So I just want to apologise to any families I've actually lost somebody.
So it's quite strange that a very hard left-winger seems to be gathering the support of only right-wingers.
It's like Antifa supported by the corporatists. Antifa and BLM supported by the globalist corporatists. So we all live under the jackboot of communism.
So the Alliance for Unity, that's them. But their vote now, I think, is very
Why doesn't he just go and live in China, George? Why don't you just pick your shit up and go and piss off and live in China? I'm sure they'll have you. I'll put in a good word with the Chinese Communist Party, Winnie the Pooh. They seem to be taking over everything anyway. So you can go and live in that way, that will kill two birds with one stone. You'll be able to go over and live in a communist society that you will seem to want to import here, don't like the liberal democracy, and you'll have a great time over there, be amongst the Soviet people, part of the people.
Definitely going to be split with the Reform Party, which until a couple of weeks ago, but their vote now, I think, is very definitely going to be split with.
So George the Communist is now getting split. Georgie Porgy's vote is now getting split by Nigel Farage's two natural bedfellows. Although Georgie Porgy was on side for leaving the undemocratic EU.
The Reform Party, which until a couple of weeks ago was the Brexit Party.
And now, obviously, with Michelle Ballantyne, it'll be quite interesting to find out if Michelle Ballantyne's going to get elected. Let's see if... oh, hello. So it looks like they're only standing in the regional. She's in the south. And could she get elected? Yeah, I think she could get elected. Michelle Ballantyne, a list MA. Michelle is now the leader, resigned, left the Scottish Labour Conservative Party. I'm not surprised. In January 2021, Nigel picked her to become the leader of the UK Reform Party. So that's relatively interesting. Come on board and do a... This is the thing. They should South. They should have actually given the opportunity to vote for Michelle in a constituency, and it would have brought out more of the votes. You can get an area. Should be just walking about trying to get these MSPs to give me a comment. Anyway, I don't know, I'll pass. So Michelle Ballantyne's standing in the south of Scotland on the regional list. So it'll be very interesting now she's left the Conservative Party. Is she going to get enough, maybe 6% or so, of the actual south of Scotland region to actually get elected for the UK Reform Party? Which I think political diversity is certainly going to be something that would be advantageous in the Parliament.
Now, I think Brexit had a massive polarisation effect in Britain. So people would think, I'm a Brexiteer, I'm a Remainer. So if they saw on the ballot paper the Brexit Party, I think a lot of people, even now, would still think, oh, Brexit, that's me, I'll vote for them, I'm a Brexit person, that's for me. But it's really water under the bridge.
But I don't think that's very fair, because actually Nigel had some great policies under the Reform Party. So I don't think it's even about Brexit anymore with Nigel's and the Reform Party. I think they're sound on immigration. They want to scrap the House of Lords. They want to privatise the BBC. So there's some underlying parliamentary reform. So there's some excellent policies from the Reform Party. That's the only one that I know that's actually got good policies. That's the only one that I would suggest that actually have fundamentally sound underlying policies.
They've changed their name to the Reform Party, and Michelle Ballantyne, the Conservative MSP, ex-Conservative MSP, has joined them as their leader, so they've now got one MSP. Michelle Ballantyne. So
why was she, if she's elected as an MSP, why was she not represented on? And same with Alex Salmond. Why were they two not represented on the leadership contest? Where if they've got representation as an MSP, they should have been there, and MPs for Alex Salmond, they should have been there at the leadership debate, rather than how boring it actually was.
And by the way, if you didn't know, is a very enthusiastic campaigner in favour of assisted suicide. So what are the policies of the Reform Party? Well, they're anti-lockdown, very definitely. But by the time of the Scottish election, will that still be an issue?
Yes. To answer your question there, Richard, yes.
Yeah, I think it might well be. They're pro-union. Okay, nothing very unique about that. If you look at their website, there's a facility for them to take your money. There's a facility for you to apply to be a candidate, but there are no policies. But you can imagine what they're going to be like. They'll be a bit sort of anti-woke, but they won't be, as the Family Party is, for example, pro-family, pro-marriage, pro-life. Not a bit of it. None of that at all. But they'll be a populist party.
I'm certainly pro-family. I'm very much pro-family. See there, it won't be...
They'll be a bit sort of anti-woke, but they won't be, as the Family Party is, for example, pro-family, pro-marriage, pro-life.
I'm pro-marriage as well. I'm pro-marriage and pro-family. Although I've not been married and don't have a family, that's not necessarily just down to me. I would have definitely settled down, had the family, and life would have been different. But I definitely support that. I believe in stable relationships.
Not a bit of it. None of that at all. But there'll be a populist party. That's the Reform Party. Very similar to the Reform Party, which I would imagine might have candidates in Scotland.
See, what they do is they try and exclude. So, I'm not talking to you. So instead of being collective and bringing people in, which you're required to do in these sort of situations, bring in Anne-Marie Waters, bring in David Cushnan, bring them in together. And so now all it is diversified all these smaller parties that... Not the fact that these individuals aren't political heavy hitters, but until you actually bring them in to actually get a critical mass to start taking on the establishment, then you're going to continue. It's going to continue this way. You have to bring people in, even the ones you don't agree with.
Scotland as well is Lawrence Fox's Reclaim.
So Reclaim, the Freedom Alliance, should just be brought into one centrist. I know that Colin's a supporter of Carol Benjamin as well, so he's just a libertarian liberal as well.
Party. Lawrence Fox, the actor, who's become a bit of a political commentator.
I don't... it's no disrespect to Colin, although he's sound in what he said, he's not like a political heavyweight like David Cushnan. So you have to understand where you are in the pecking order. But Colin could be a political entity in his own right, but needs to be involved with other people who are larger political hitters. It's not that Colin can do well or he hasn't got a platform. I just think there's question marks about the depth of political understanding that he's got.
As well, apparently he's received a fine.
I don't think he's stupid. I just don't think he's been his primary sort of... Unlike my own, unlike Carol Benjamin's.
£1 million donation to launch this party UK-wide. At the moment, it has no policies. It's been in action for months. It's funny, when we started the family...
As soon as I get... I'm going to be similar to Richard. As soon as I get up and running, the policies will be there. Boom, 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 boom. Next election, we'll run candidates in every constituency, in every region.
Party. we spent months working policies out, then we launched. These other parties seem to do it the other way around.
And unfortunately, you're still not going to get very far. Unfortunately, and he's a lovely guy, Richard Lucas. And he has got political depth, and yet he's not going to get elected under this family party. Not that the fact that there isn't good things in the family party, but the family party really need to be involved in other parties as a pressure group internally within the parties. I don't think it can be an external party. Political group, pressure group in its own right, but all it's going to do is take away votes from other people, and you should lobby internally within every political party for what you believe, and that way you're going to have a much greater, and then you can actually get people who agree with you internally within each of the parties, and you should start lobbying that way.
They launch with nothing but a name and then work out what they stand for afterwards. But anyway, I think the Reclaim Party, it's going to be sort of anti-woke, pro-free speech, so things that we would basically agree with, but we've got a much broader positive agenda as well, things that are going to make a positive difference in society instead of just stopping some of the negative things. So that's the Reclaim Party. Right.
Yeah, so I think there's limitations there as well. I mean, as I said, we're going to get policies that are going to change things as well.
Who come to next? The Christian Party. Now,
so I don't know why the Christian Party and the Family Party don't just join together, because it sounds like they're absolute peas in the pod.
The Christian Party in Scotland, I would say, is very much a right-wing party. I mean, their tax policy is for very, very dramatic tax cuts. Government spending would have to be absolutely slashed on that.
Ain't good. You sound like Libertarians. So I don't know why the Family Party, the Christian Party don't just amalgamate. You could call it the Christian Family Party, or the Family Party for Christians and other whatever. Yeah. Call it the Scottish Party, the Party. We like London sing Kumbaya. But I don't know. Richard seems to be sort of quasi-religious as well.
Basis. Now, our issue with the Christian Party was then, if you call yourself a Christian party, you narrow your potential support very significantly.
Oh, but the Family Party doesn't. Calling yourself the Family Party doesn't narrow your support. What ideology is the Family Party in itself? You should amalgamate the family. If you're wanting to continue to stand alone, you and the Scottish Christian Party should amalgamate. I don't think that either are going to get any sort of significant votes. You're going to bounce around there and not getting anything through, and you would be better as subgroups within other mainstream political parties, because I don't know where you are on the political spectrum. I suspect the average person doesn't know. And until you get critical mass, nobody's going to know. So you might as well amalgamate, because you sound like there's a lot of overlap between you and the Christian Party anyway.
And it's not the way to enter into politics. We don't want politics.
Well, but what you do is, if you amalgamated, then they would increase the size of the people that are going to your party, and then you could cherry pick the best parts from the amalgamated party, which happens when you bring a lot more people in. You can then cherry pick the best people in the best parties, but you get a greater a greater amalgam of people and a greater choice, and you can then start to get better and better candidates. I still don't think there's going to be a massive demand for the Christian Party or the Family Party, although that's not to say that you're not a talented politician. There might be talented politicians in the Christian Party, and if you're going to continue with this, I would combine them, two of them, and try and come up with a different name, and something that's not as contentious. I mean, I'm an atheist, so why would I be joining the Christian Party? I'm also single and male, so why would I join the Family Party? I'm just pointing that out, not that I wouldn't, but I would need to know what your underlying objectives are and your underlying manifesto. So maybe one of the things I'm going to do is go through your manifestos to find out what you all believe.
To be the Christian Party versus the Muslim Party versus the Atheist Party. Politics should be about policies.
Yeah, I know, but you're the family party. And so what does that mean for single people as well? All of these needs a rechange, and you need to start focusing on the underlying issues, not Christianity or the family. All of these should be trying to tied up into something else. And you should just be joining each other. All these separate parties are going to get just hundreds of votes, if that, are not going to get the political mass. You guys need to re-look at your political strategy.
Now, the advantage the Christian Party's got is people can walk into that polling booth, having never heard of them, see the word Christian and think, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, they're probably roughly on my wavelength.
That's never the way that I would vote for anybody, and I think you're greatly underestimating the Scottish people if you think that that's the way they vote as well. Not to mention the fact the amount of people who are atheists in Scotland is nearly coming up for 50%.
I'll vote for them. So that's an advantage in the short term, but in the longer term, it's a real limitation. Whereas for the family,
just like unfortunately calling yourself the family party, that's a limitation as well. So what I would do is I would hold a joint conference with the Scottish Christian Party, come up with a new name so you can be identified where you are on the political compass, if you're actual traditional conservatives or whatever you are, whatever you decide you want to be, so that we can actually then say, and I would get a change of name from the Scottish Christian Party and the Family Party to something that more represents where you are in the political spectrum, so I know what I'm voting for.
Party, we've got more of a challenge. We need to let people know what we're about. People won't get that just from...
I still don't know what the Christian Party are about. What are they going to do? What's the Christian Party going to do? Enforce Christianity?
Seeing our name. But in the longer term, when people understand what we're about, we can have a much broader appeal. So the Christian Party, are they pro-family, pro-marriage, pro-life? To a large extent, yes. Pro-life, definitely. The other ones, I would say our policies are fuller on those. But yeah, roughly speaking.
So what's the difference then? What's the point in having two, unless you don't like the other guy, what's the point in having two parties? It's completely pointless. Unless you can get to a certain gravitas. And we just have two leaders and just have the two leaders correspond or have a board underneath it, and stop having two parties that are basically saying the same thing.
Supporting similar sort of things. So the Christian Party, they've got some good ingredients.
Well, that's great then. Just go and say to them, hi there, my name's Mr. Lucas, and we would really like to have a conversation with you, and if you'd like to come along, have meet the members, and you bring your members along and see if we can get along.
But they're part of the wrong recipe, and it's in the wrong package.
Oh, the wrong recipe and the wrong... But if you brought them in, and then you can swap up the ingredients, and then you can actually then join together, and then you've got a bigger recipe, and like some sultanas, and little nuts in it, and then you can shake it all up, and then you can move forward together. Because right now, you're sitting at hundreds of votes. You'll be able to pretty much fit them all in the bus. So unless you are strategically switched on at that nth degree political level, as I am, you need to bring them together. So that's up to you.
And the other issue is, in terms of activists and activity, is there any? Is there much?
I think there's a number of inactive people in Scottish politics and inactive parties.
Well, the UK Christian Party last tweeted in July. The Scottish Christian Party Facebook page puts something up about once every couple of months.
Why don't you just go and meet them and say, listen, why don't we're thinking about something progressive. We'd like to amalgamate with you. You sound like a great bunch of eggs. Would you like us? And then we can share the tweetings. We can together. We'll change our name from the Scottish Christian Party and the Family Party to something more neutral, and show a more direct line of where we are in the political compass so people know what we're voting for. That would be my suggestion. That would be my clever suggestion, because I make clever political points. That's what I would do if I was in your shoes.
Now, I've been talking about parties splitting the vote with each other.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. For no apparent reason, and you seem to believe in the same thing. For some strange reason, you don't want to share a name. I would suggest a new name that's not sort of divisive. And and also somewhere it's on the political spectrum, so we know where you are on the political spectrum, and tell us more about your policies. That would be good. Policies are, because being an atheist, I'm not necessarily going to vote for a Scottish Christian party.
To be honest,
not that I'm anti-Christian, it's not going to be my first political go-to.
Scottish Christian Party stands, I'm not sure they will. I'm not sure they'll have many candidates at all. But
let's get them involved with you then. If you're going to win anything, Richard, you're going to have to bring people on board. And you've been very good during this run up to the elections here. You've been very good. You brought forward some interesting things, interesting videos which I've used. But if you're not getting momentum, you're not going anywhere.
Where they do stand, they might be splitting the vote a little bit with us.
Yeah. So why don't you just say to them, listen, you're great bunch. Oh, you're such a great bunch. Oh, I love Scottish Christians. Fantastic. Would you like to come and work with us? That's all you need to say. I think that would be great. I think we're splitting the vote. I think we could come up with bang our brains together and do a bit of brainstorming, and maybe we could come up with something better together. What do you say? I think it's always better together, and that way we can increase our vote together. What do you think of that? Oh yeah, we are Christians. We agree with joining things. Other people are great because they're Christians. Oh, that's great. Let's yeah, let's do that. That's great. Then we'll come up with a new name. Valentine, he's great on that Guerilla TV channel.
Right, next party. You probably hadn't heard of this one. The Saving Scotland Party.
Yeah, oh my God. That's 3 non-entity parties all won Scottish votes. That's that Saving Scotland Party. Oh my God.
You can see a banner here from a recent one of their, this is from their website. Second wave, there wasn't a first one. So that's denying that there was a first wave of coronavirus and denying that there's a second. Oh no,
I think I might like these guys. These guys should have been on the Scottish Libertarian Party, just wasting the votes again.
Skeptics, 5G, concerned about the health effects of 5G, maybe a bit of anti-vaxxer thrown in. Some things about if we all can take the right vitamins, then that will stop people getting ill, etc. This party grew out of the lockdown protests, apparently.
Great bunch. They should have joined the Scottish Libertarian Party.
I would summarise it as a sort of anti-scientific conspiracy theory party. Now, from what I see on Facebook, they could well be on course to win the election.
Wow. Look who win the election. Beat wee Nippy. Come on, vote these guys.
I find it concerning just seeing so many people seeming to be drawn into this parallel world of some really unusual ideas, shall we say. And what's also concerning...
but some guy getting crucified in the desert and brought back to life, Son of God's just normal.
Is the more outlandish someone's beliefs seem to become, the more impossible it is to discuss with them, because they tend to flare up.
Yeah, I can't imagine them holding flaring up if you don't agree with them.
But anyway, that's the Saving Scotland Party. Right, moving on. The Women's Equality Party.
Oh, the men-hating lesbians. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And they're not all just lesbians. I apologise, it's not just lesbians. And it's a subsect of lesbianism. Not all lesbians hate men. This is part lesbians, political lesbians as well, who are heterosexual women who want to be a lesbian and hate men, basically. So we've got the men-hating lesbians and heteros party,
which is the most unnecessary party in the history of the universe.
Oh, women are oppressed. They're oppressed, I say. They're oppressed. I'm always feeling sorry just now for women. They're oppressed. Those patriarchy. The patriarchy. Don't forget them. Oh, oppressed. So basically another Marxist party.
They exist in Scotland, and they will stand in the election, I think, in order to put pressure on the Scottish Parliament to become more feminist.
Yeah, more Marxists. Just let's cut through the chase.
Can you imagine the Scottish...
the SJWs, wee Nippy's, she'll love these girls. Wee Nippy's alleged lesbianism and intersectional stuff. Oh, she'll probably make them permanent, the permanent Amazon tribe in the Scottish Parliament.
Scottish Parliament becoming more feminist.
Luckily, I'm as a lesbian trans woman. I can fit right in.
Neither can I. Anyway, but that's what they're all about. Right, the last one, number 21, we come to the Scottish Family Party. Well, they're neutral on a lot of the mainstream issues, particularly.
Well, that's not very good, is it, if they're neutral on a lot of mainstream issues? I'm a centrist and I'm not neutral.
Constitutional issues. They've taken a mild anti-lockdown stance. They're certainly going to be pushing for restrictions to be lifted at the earliest possible opportunity.
Sound.
They're socially conservative. Again, pro-freedom of speech, anti-woke, but also pro-family, pro-marriage, which we think will solve a lot of problems in society, and also pro-life.
So anti-abortion, so we've got a declining birth rate as well, and women aren't producing enough children for us to repopulate. So we've allowed women and feminism and these sort of things to, basically women to hold the keys. And just now we've got a major problem and a reduction in population in Scotland. So obviously women just being able to do what they want to do is causing problems, not just mild problems. This is about regeneration and being able to take the country forward. So I don't know what the answer to this is, to be honest with you, but we have to have a proper conversation about it.
As a matter of fundamental moral principle. So this party will seek to inject new ideas into the Scottish Parliament to open up debate in the nation, to persuade more and more people of this perspective, and thereby grow in influence in successive parliaments. That's the long-term plan. Right, that's the end of the party guide. I know that's a lot to take in, but don't worry, you just need to remember one thing, and that is to vote. I
don't think that that's an exhaustive list. I think there's actually more parties than that, but that's just me. He didn't cover the Liberal Party there, which is obviously we've already covered. That's on the list, so there must be more parties even than that.
The Scottish Family Party. Okay, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this party guide, do share it, do subscribe to our channel, like this video. You can join the Scottish Family Party via a link below, or alternatively, make a donation. Thanks very much.
Don't say I'm not good to you. But I wouldn't be voting for the Scottish Family Party anyway. What's my baby gorilla saying, baby gorillas? Yes, I would like to see me chocolate dream and place my vote there. Doesn't that just reflect the MSM in Scotland, which would explain the SNP supporters follow Sturgeon slavishly? They are deprived of facts. Quite probably true, Marion. Georgie wears a foot. No, Georgie Porgy. Freeing the mass to enslave them. Yeah, that's that. Of course. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. What is that? A couple of hours. I am going to love you and leave you. Thought that was quite interesting. Thanks very much to the Scottish Family Party for letting me dissect their interesting. That was actually quite interesting. I think Richard is quite an interesting commentator as well. I've really enjoyed his stuff. So, my baby gorillas. Ja, toss,